Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It is Thursday, August 26th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. 2 preseason games down, the most important one to go for the Chiefs, and you know why. The team, like all NFL teams, has to cut its roster from 80 to 53 by Tuesday. On today's show, beat writer Herbie Teope tells you what to look for in Friday's finale against the Vikings at Arrowhead. He shares his list of players on the bubble and breaks down positions like running back, wide receiver, tight end, and safety. After a break, you'll hear from special teams coordinator Dave Tobe and tight end candidate Jody Fortson. Tobe will have a say on some of the last players on the roster because of their importance to special teams. And Fortson, well, he sounded like a guy who the Chiefs want to be part of the 53-man roster. So let's get going with Herbie. Herbie Teope's here, and we're going to talk about some players who probably need to have a good game in the final preseason game on Friday against the Vikings at Arrowhead Stadium. But before we do, let's just get through a couple of particulars, like what did Andy Reid say about starters playing in preseason game number 3?
Yeah, well, you can probably expect a repeat of what we saw in the second preseason game against the Arizona Cardinals, where the starters went well into the first half before giving way to the backups. And Andy Reid said after Wednesday's practice that he's likely to follow the same plan. But he also added in there, we'll play it by ear. So, if they go the full first half, they play the full first half. But if he likes what he sees out of the first couple of series, then, he might shut it down.
And listen, for the first couple of series, for the offense anyway, it would be nice to see him get in the end zone, the first team offense, because that has not happened in a while. At least trying to think. They got the field goal on 4 possessions against the Cardinals and 2 long drives, but one of them ended in the end zone interception, the other with the Butker field goal. And then there was just the one possession for Mahomes in the opener against the 49ers. Am I right? Am I remembering that right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, and if you want to tack on the Super Bowl, no touchdowns in that game either. So for Mahomes,
hey, salt on the wound there, Brad.
Yeah. For the first team offense, I'd like to see him get in the end zone before the 2021 season begins, preferably with a Mahomes touchdown pass, because that hasn't happened since the AFC title game. So we'll see. Vikings at 7 p.m. on Friday. How about injuries? That became a little newsworthy this week, especially at the running back group.
Yeah, with the running back group, they are banged up. Against the Cardinals, Clyde Edwards-Helaire suffered a slight ankle sprain. And Reid mentioned after the game that it was still sore. And he was pretty much limited throughout the last 3 days of practice. He'd come out there and go through stretching and conditioning, the individual position drills, and then observe the first install period before he went inside, probably to go through more rehab. And the same thing happened with Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams was in the concussion protocol against the Cardinals, and then so he was not out there the first 2 days of practice, but he showed up Wednesday, and then he just followed Edwards-Helaire into the training facility once the team went to full team drills.
So the question I get asked is, will Clyde Edwards-Helaire be available for the opener in a little over 2 weeks against the Browns? What's your gut on that?
My gut says yes, because the fact that he's out there for 3 straight days, and he's if this were a normal week, the Chiefs would have listed him as limited on the injury report, because limited means you were able to go through stretching and conditioning, individual position drills, but you're not participating in team drills. You're not taking your full load. And that's essentially what he did. He was a limited participant in practice. You've got 2 weeks to go before the regular season starts. And the fact that he's out there in uniform is a good sign.
Okay, let's get into some of the personnel issues or matters that the Chiefs are going to have to consider. And let's just stay with the running back since we're talking about him. I suppose we're going to see a lot of Jerick McKinnon on Friday. Listen, he's been good, and there's no doubt he makes this roster. He's right now the number 3 running back. And Darwin Thompson, I guess, is number 4, although Gore played well against the Cardinals in his mop-up time. Are the Chiefs going to have a decision to make at, whether to keep 4 running backs, assuming that, that Michael Burton, the fullback, is on the team, and he is going to be on the team. So I guess there's 2 questions here. Do they keep 4 running backs, 5 with Burton, and does it come down to Thompson and Derek Gore?
It's going to come down to that, but I don't even know if they're going to keep 4 running backs, because if Edwards-Helaire is healthy and Darrell Williams, they like him. He gives you that powerful, physical running back out of the group. He's certainly a lock. And Jerick McKinnon, you and I saw him out there at training camp. Our esteemed colleague Sam McDowell, he was out there at training camp with us as well. And you can't help but miss this guy. He's a playmaker, and you get him in space. He's a great receiver. And then, you look at Darwin Thompson, it's like, how do you fit him in there? You signed Jerick McKinnon to be that third down back. And I don't know if they have the space there for Darwin Thompson. Friday night's game for Darwin Thompson is going to be huge, because if he wants to make this roster, he has to make an impression. And he's going to get a lot of carries if Edwards-Helaire and Darrell Williams don't play. So this is his opportunity to shine.
Yeah, I've been a Darwin Thompson fan since he's been on this roster. Undersized guy, just a try-hard guy. Really nice, a background in which he, had to battle just to play 1 year of Division 1A football at Utah State. So he's just been an overachiever, and he's going to have to. Looks like he might have to continue that, that trend Friday night and before the Chiefs make their decisions early next week. We'll stay with the offense because wide receiver also pretty interesting. Listen, we all hated what we saw from the punt return prowess of Demarcus Robinson, and you asked Dave Tobe about that. We're actually going to hear from Dave Tobe after a break, but you asked Dave Tobe about that, and he even cringed when he said, or kind of admitted to cringing when he sees Demarcus Robinson on punt returns. But Demarcus Robinson's going to be a wide receiver on this team. She's one of the 4 locks at wide receiver, along with Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, and Byron Pringle. So it comes down to another question. Do the Chiefs keep 5 or 6? And there are multiple candidates, for maybe 3 for 2 spots if it is 6, or 3 for 1 if it's 5. Who needs to come up big on Friday night?
Yeah, this is one of the more intriguing position groups as we head into this final preseason game. I'm going to go ahead and pencil in Marcus Kemp as that 5th guy. Dave Tobe loves him. Andy Reid loves him. He knows the scheme, and his biggest contributions come as a special teams contributor. So as you know, the 4th and 5th guy have to be able to contribute on special teams, and you've got Kemp and Pringle who can do that. You got McCole Hardman who can do that as a returner. This is where they're going to have to make a decision on Daurice Fountain and even their rookie Cornell Powell. Fountain has really come on. Once the pads came on in training camp, he started making all these head-turning plays, and we're all looking at each other like, who's this 82? But it's translated into the preseason games. Over the last 2 games, he's also put on a show. I think it was last week against the Cardinals. He had that 41-yard reception. He has that big play ability, but now does Veach admit that Cornell Powell might have been a mistake in the 5th round? Because Powell, since camp has opened, we saw it progress from he's working with the 2nd team to all of a sudden he's just working mostly with the 3rd team, and that's got to be alarming that your 5th round draft pick has not overtaken some of the other guys and making a push for the roster. I think the Chiefs will keep 5. It's that 6th spot that's really, really intriguing on what they'll do, because if they keep 6, now where do you sacrifice depth at other position groups?
Yeah, a couple things. Fountain, he had the 41-yarder against the Cardinals. I thought his most impressive play was when the short reception where he took the hit and held on to the ball, across the middle. That moment proved to me this guy belongs on this team. Cornell Powell, a late bloomer at Clemson and And maybe that's just his MO, a little bit of a late bloomer. It took him a while to come on in college. And I can see a scenario where the Chiefs cut him, gets through waivers. He's on the practice squad, although we'll see if a 5th-round pick can get through waivers. And I totally agree with Marcus Kemp, a favorite of Dave Tobe, and he's going to have influence on some of these final roster spots. And one last word about Demarcus Robinson. And he was almost embarrassing with those punt returns last week. But there's a comfort. I think there's a comfort level between he and Patrick Mahomes that keeps. You've started to hear should the Chiefs keep Demarcus Robinson. I think Patrick Mahomes might have a say in who these receivers are going to be, and I just think there's. He's been working with DeMarcus for so long, and that'll end any speculation that DeMarcus Robinson won't be part of the team. One thing I will look for, though, is number of targets for Byron Pringle during the early part of the regular season, how much he's moved up the ladder, because he absolutely is solid and can, I think, be the physical receiver, maybe number 2 receiver that maybe McCole Hardman can't be. Hardman certainly with the speed, but Byron Pringle, my gosh, what else does he have to do to prove himself and his value to this Chiefs team? So, all right, that takes us through the running backs and the wide receivers. How about this one, Herbie? How about the 4th tight end? And is that another decision? 3 or 4 tight ends? As Sam McDowell has reminded us often, the Chiefs kept 4 last year. You keep hearing that Chiefs only kept 2 last year. No. The Chiefs kept 4 last year. I'm wondering, I'm thinking they're going to keep 4. I have not put a pen to paper to give me to put down my 53, but I just think the way that this team is structured, 4 tight ends is not an unreasonable call right now.
Oh, it's an absolutely reasonable call. And I think if you do keep 4, then obviously that means Jody Fortson, a local fan favorite, a favorite of us in the media corps, we call training camp Fortune season, but he's done all that he can to prove that he belongs on this roster. If they keep 4, this will be a more dynamic group of tight ends than they had compared to last year, where you had Travis Kelce, Nick Keiser, Ricky Seals-Jones, and the other Deion Yelder. Yeah. This group here gives you a lot of pop with Fortson, Noah Gray, a tremendous receiver. Blake Bell, they brought back on a 1-year deal because they were missing that blocking component last year. And then you have all-world Travis Kelce. When you have these kinds of tight ends, then Reid, whose West Coast offense runs through the tight end, now all of a sudden you get a different look, not just from outside of 12 personnel, but he has the opportunity to run more 13 personnel packages, more 14 personnel packages. So it's going to be dynamic. Fortson has done all that he can. He's packed on 20 pounds of muscle. He worked with Delaney Walker over the offseason to improve his blocking. And if you watched the second preseason game, it seemed like the Chiefs wanted to focus on his blocking more than his receiving skills, and he rose to the occasion.
Okay, let's switch over to defense, and let's identify a couple of players that you've kind of spotlighted for needing to make a good final impression. It is really interesting. I know one of your choices is somebody who flashed so much up in St. Joe, and once the game started, has kind of taken a little step back here. And tell us about your feelings and maybe the future of Devin Key.
Yeah, Devin Key. I think if the season had ended, or excuse me, if the cuts had happened early in training camp, I think he made the 53. That's how good he was in training camp. But as you mentioned, the games came, and all of a sudden he just started bumping down. He's no longer working with the ones during practice. He's now exclusively with the 2s and 3s, and that's not a good sign there for an undrafted free agent. He had to show some consistency. But, I think you and I were talking before we went to record here. The games may be just too fast for him. And it showed in the 49ers game where he got beat on the double move. And then against the Cardinals, he got beat on the post route. So I think he struggled, but, if he has a shot, he's going to need to really, really step up and erase the mistakes from the previous 2 games with, a 3 to 4 interception game against the Vikings. I don't know if he's capable of doing that.
Who else you got your eyes on Friday on the defensive side?
I think Damone Harris. Damone Harris is an intriguing player because if people recall, he was signed off the Ravens practice squad in 2019. He's gone back and forth between the active roster and the practice squad. But what opens the door for him was Tuesday's surprising release of Taco Charlton. And the Chiefs need depth at the defensive end position. And so with Charlton's release, this opens the door for guys like Damone Harris and Tim Ward, who are fighting for that final roster spot, but I think they like Damone Harris.
Okay, interesting. All right, there's a lot more to get into. We didn't talk about the offensive line or linebackers, cornerbacks. So what I want to do is let's watch Friday night's game against the Vikings, and you and I and Sam McDowell will get together soon after that to discuss, in greater detail what we think is going to happen and how the Chiefs get down to their 53. Because, look, they play Friday night. Saturday and Sunday are going to be takeout restaurants, days at the Chiefs complex. A lot of Chinese food and pizza while the brain trust gets to 53. And then, what do you think? It seems to me in the past that Monday we start hearing about cuts. Tuesday's the official day, Tuesday afternoon, right? But Monday we start hearing about the cuts that the Chiefs have made. Is that how you think it's going to unfold this time?
I think it will. When we think about the initial 53, remember, this is the first time in more than a decade that we're actually going to have Labor Day weekend off. Typically, the cuts are on a Saturday because they have to set the practice squad on a Sunday, but now it's a weekday. So you're probably right. We'll start hearing from sources at least a day before the actual cuts. Who made the team and who didn't. And the other thing to remember is they're going to be practicing Tuesday. And it's hard for me to believe that they're going to still have the full 80-player roster out there because you don't want to have a guy and all of a sudden he gets hurt and you already, you knew you were going to cut him anyway because now you're responsible for him. So the Chiefs might make all their moves Monday.
Very good. All right. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, you will hear from special teams coordinator Dave Tobe and tight end candidates. I think he's on the team, Jody Fortson. All right, Herbie, good stuff. We'll talk to you again early next week. Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
Coach, you spent a lot of time over the last couple of weeks taking a look at what you had at returner. Do you anticipate doing the same thing for the preseason finale?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. The good thing is that we have a lot of guys to choose from, and we can really get a good look at guys, and we've been getting a lot of returns, so it's been good for us.
DeMarcus Robinson as a punt returner, what are your thoughts on him?
He drives me nuts a little bit. He really does, to be honest. He knows it. I like to see him catch it and keep the ball tight to his body. He doesn't do that. Like to see him get north and south. He doesn't do that. So those are things that we talked about all the time. He's a great make you miss guy. There's probably nobody better, but he's got to learn to get up the field. He's a good catcher. So in an emergency situation, you could use him, as a guy that can get you through a game. But as an every down guy, he's got a ways to go.
Same ballpark is kind of the same question, at least, with Mike Hughes.
Yeah, Mike is very, very good catcher. He's talented returner. He gets up the field north and south. He looks for that north and south right away. Whereas he could probably press the edges a little bit more. You know, he's talented, and we like what we see in him going forward.
With 2 preseason games, is there anybody that's sort of increased their value in the 4 phases?
I think Jody Fortson has. Jody's setting himself up well. Not really, no surprises, you know, but I was just happy to see Jody, you know, with as hard as he worked in the offseason to be able to show it on the field, you know, as a hold-up guy and, you know, and blocker and cover guy, you know, physical. It's good to see.
To that point, Coach, players that are trying to make the team, obviously special teams is probably going to be the way to go. Is there anyone that you could possibly tell us that's on the borderline that needs to have a good showing on Friday?
I think everybody needs to have a good showing. There's guys that you might think are easy ins right now. They're still fighting. I mean, it's not over. You know, and that's the thing that I tell them. I say that, you know, the decision's not made until this last game is done. You know, we get down to 53, so. You know, they got to keep fighting, everybody. There's a lot of positions that are still open right now. And, you know, special teams will have something to do with it, but offense and defense mostly.
Are there individuals that you give advice to, like, hey, this is what I want to look for?
Oh, they know. I mean, it's clear. I'm you know, I tell you like it is guy. And they know exactly how they stand. They know what they need to do. They know that if they need to have a big game or not. There's no gray area with me, you know, and I think it's good for the guys to know.
What did you see from Jared McKinnon, and what does it say about the willingness to do it even as, what is it, 7 years?
He's I'm not sure how much special teams he's had in his past, but he's been playing great for us. I mean, if you know, like every week he does, the last 2 games, you know, the first game he had the nice hit, you know, as a PP, and then in the second game he had the nice block on the punt return, you know, out in front of the returner. Boom, he got a knockdown on a big guy. He's not afraid to stick his head in there. He's not afraid to do the dirty work, you know, which is good to see with a veteran guy. You know, you never know how he's going to react, and he's really taken the role, you know, and accepted it, and he's doing everything he can.
So you're borderline guys. Usually you talk to like Marcus Kemp, the Reese Fountain players like that.
Yeah.
What do you kind of tell them to make sure? Because I know you like Marcus Kemp with special teams. What do you try to tell them that, you know, they're doing well offensively too, but special teams is also.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus Kemp, you don't need to say much to because he's a highly motivated, self-motivated guy. He goes hard all the time. A guy like Fountain, he's got to try to impress on everything he does. He's got to you know, obviously show up on special teams a little bit more. I mean, that'll help him. But he's done such a good job on offense. I'm not saying it's a shoot. Like, he's one of those guys that's battling. He's a bubble guy, you know, and that's, you know, those guys they're fighting for a spot. There's a lot of competition on this team. You know, when you see us cutting great players like we have, I mean, this tells you, you know, that we have a lot of competition.
How has Townsend been doing with the holding duties?
Holding's fine. He's fine with that. You know, he set the bar high for himself in that first game, and we know what he can do. So if the next game, if he doesn't hit 5-0 hang times, it's like he had a bad game. But he the punts that he hit, we only had 2 in that last game. He hit 2 fair catches, you know, which is, you know, was only like a 38 or 39 yard net, which is what you're looking for. But, you know, he's got the ability, you know, to be even better, and we know that now. So we expect that out of him.
Dave, when you mentioned Jody Fortson on special teams, was that something in the offseason or at least early on in camp that he came to you and say, I really want to be a
It was actually last year. He actually came into my office. He did, and you could ask him about it. He came in my office. It was during the offseason. What do I need to do? You know, and we just laid it out for him, and he's, you know, that's why I'm so excited about him, because he's done it. You know, he's got himself in the position, you know, to be successful.
Is that unusual that a guy would come to you?
No, not unusual at all. Guys that come to me, if they don't think they're not getting enough reps, they want to know why. You know, it's, you know, and I shoot them straight. They understand, you know, and it helps. I mean, communication's the key. You know, you can't, you know, they don't want to be. You know, I don't think players should be surprised, you know, when they get cut or released. Or, you know, I mean, or make the team for that matter.
One of the things with him, though, is obviously this offseason he was going into sort of a little bit of a body transformation, switching positions as well. So your spot, do you immediately know where you're going to put him, or do you kind of wait to see how that plays?
Yeah, he kind of we tried him at different spots. Like now he can play on the, like, for example, he used to be a slot, like on punt, which is a kind of an intermediate type builds, the safety type. He's gotten so big now I could play him at guard and tackle on punt team, and he can hold up in there against bigger guys. So, and that's a perfect example of how it changed for him.
Along those same lines, coaches, he had told me previously during camp he had worked out with Delaney Walker to improve his blocking. How much of that are you seeing when you mentioned he can play interior and block?
Yeah, I mean, you probably have to ask, the tight ends coach Melvin Moore about that. But I watch him like every day on 9 to 7. I can see he's bringing the physicalness and he's running through guys instead of just running two guys. He's starting to run through guys on traps and stuff. So that's all confidence, and he's building. You can see his confidence getting built every day.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right.
So we'll get started here, and we'll start first with Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Jody, how are you?
All right, Herbie, how are you?
Hey, I'm well, thanks. Hey, I got two quick questions for you. I'm going to ask the first one first. I know you spent a lot of time this offseason working on your blocking. You worked out with Delaney Walker in order to improve and to become an all-around tight end. How would you assess your performance this past Friday against the Cardinals when you did a lot? You were back there a lot in pass pro and also in the run game.
I would say I did my job. You know what I'm saying? I was able to show that I could hold my own against defensive ends and linebackers and stay on track and finish my block, most importantly, spring my running back open. So I just feel like I showed a balanced game.
And you talk about springing a running back open, and I noticed you had that block on Gore's 19-yard run. How gratifying was that block there for you?
It wasn't more gratifying for me, like, as it is to the rest of the team. You know what I'm saying? We got a large game. You know what I'm saying? I seen Gore break a long one, and I know he wished he would have stayed in bounds and took a knee or score or whatever. But, you know what I'm saying? It was good. It was great seeing him get an open field and be able to do what he's capable of.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hi, Jody. It was noted that you put on 15 to 20 pounds of muscle this offseason. What was your thought process in that, and how did you get that process done?
I didn't really think too much of it. I love football. I love the game. So whether that mean I had to bulk up and play left tackle, I was going to do it because this game brings me joy. So, I just attack it like I attack everything else with a winner mindset and just get it done. Whether that be, eat a couple more sandwiches, another protein shake, or add a little bit of, junk food here and there just to keep my weight up. I'm doing whatever it takes.
Let's go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Jody. Dave Tope said yesterday that you came into him in the offseason and said you wanted to get better on special teams. How much of your fight to make this team did you sort of get in the mindset was going to have to be becoming more of a factor on specials?
It was pretty much my entire mindset. I knew I had to go in there and be dominant. Me and Coach Tope, we had a discussion earlier OTAs about what I needed to do and what kind of mindset I needed to have. And I meditated on that all off season as far as what I needed to do, as far as holding guys up, putting hands on people, and being thicker. So I just took the advice he gave me, and I'm continuing to build it on it.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Brad, I'll have a second question as well after this one. Jody, have you been told yet whether you've made the team?
No, I haven't been told anything. I'm just still working as if I'm in last year's position.
Okay. You've been around for a couple of years now and been grinding a lot. And it would have been easy, I imagine, for you to just give up and move on to something else or another team or whatever. What told you that if you kept at it, something good would be waiting for you at the end?
My faith, first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big believer in God, and I continue to pray on it. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to quit on anything, regardless of what it is, whether it's the NFL, whether it's school, whatever topic you want to put that in. It's easy to quit. It's not easy to fight on when you don't know what's going to happen. And I'm just grateful that this team hasn't given up on me, and they allowed me to stay around and develop and, trust me enough to be in front of this podium.
Let's go next to Surin Petro. Go ahead, Surin.
It's been said that blocking is like a mindset, right? You agree with that? And I'll have a follow-up, Brad. Do you agree that that it's just a matter of putting your mind to it, or is that oversimplify the physicality that comes with trying to block some of these guys in the league?
I definitely think it's a mindset thing, but it's also, you know what I'm saying, some other things to that. So you got some guys that have been doing this. No matter how bad you want to do it, you got to actually execute it. So it's a little bit of everything.
And then Travis Kelce, right? One of the most accomplished tight ends in the league. Do you watch tape of him, or is he kind of like a big brother to you, right? Do you call him old man now that he's been around the league for a little while?
We call him the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? I watch Travis Kelce highlights before the game. Like, his lock is right next to mine. To be able to have him in the room with not only myself, but another younger tight end, Noah Gray, that's a big deal for us. I'm saying we got one of the best in the game to learn from every day. We could pick the phone up and call him and look to our right, and he's right there to give us the answers and the keys and just help us navigate through this game. Kelsey's been a great influence on my game, transitioning to the tight end room, that's for sure. Shout out Kelsey, the GOAT.
Let's go next to Steve Walls. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, what's happening, Jody?
What's going on?
Not much, man. It seems like you're like a fan favorite. Everyone in Kansas City just loves Jody Fortson. Does that push you? I know you had been out in the community a lot. I mean, you've been around Kansas City a few years now, and you've been out in the community, even though, you haven't pushed a foundation or anything like that. But it just seems like, people just love you. Why do you feel like that is, and how much does it push you?
I mean, I can't explain to you why I think that is. I think that this city, this town just admires hard work, and I believe I fit the description of a hard worker, a grinder, somebody that's just going to see it through. I know I've done a little bit of community work over at Children's Mercy Hospital, where I was going there my rookie year, 2019, every Thursday, going to play bingo with the kids up there. So maybe that has something to do with it. People just like the genuine soul that I have. But the fans, man, like I said, back in training camp in St. Joe's, it was awesome to see them out there, to see when it's hot and we're all tired and sore and the fans are out there screaming, you could do it, and they're out there just cheering like that. Not only motivates me, but the entire team, and we feed off of that. So the fans, I'm truly grateful for them, especially how they just been riding with me, and I haven't done anything. Like, I haven't done anything, and the fact that they trust and believe in me is second to none.
And we'll go last to Miss Karen Kornacki. Go ahead, Karen.
Hey, Jody, I think that's called God's favor. Way to go.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask you this final preseason game. Usually there's 4 games, and now the pressure's on because the big roster cuts are coming. How do you not let that be the distraction? Because it seems like you're having one of your best preseasons and staying on that course and focusing on it and not allowing the pressure of the final game before the cuts kind of affect you.
To be honest with you, I feel like all camp I've done a great job of letting yesterday be yesterday and trying to build upon a new day. I remember our first preseason game this year. Kelsey told me, "Don't let the moment be bigger than you. You are bigger than the moment," and that's just been resonating in me. Just to go out there and have fun, play the game. I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, it might be in front of a new position, in front of a bunch of more eyes, but nothing has changed about the game. It's all the same. So I just go out there and just not make it too much of a big deal. Just do what I know I'm capable of doing.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our SportsBeat KC production staff of Beth Welsh, Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, Chris Pickett, and Savannah Smith. Tip of the cap to Herbie Teope for stopping by and talking Chiefs. Links to stories about the Chiefs and the preseason can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Hey, we have another deal for you. You can subscribe to Sports Pass for 99 cents a month. That's right, 99 pennies a month. Sports Pass is the online version of the Star Sports section. You get all the stories that appear in the print editions of the Star, plus additional stories that appear only on the website. And of course, they're posted first on kansascity.com. After 3 months, it auto-renews at $5.99 a month unless you cancel. It's a great time to subscribe. Read about what's going on with the Chiefs, the Royals, the colleges, the soccer teams, and more. How do you get it? Go to kansascity.com/sportspass2020. That is kansascity.com/sportspass2020. Do you want more than just sports coverage? Check out the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports news, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole thing. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus additional national news, sports, features, and business coverage with the e-edition. So whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting in supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening, and we will be back on Friday with another episode.